At the table in front of her friends, my daughter whispered to me, "Dad, you're my stress. I need you gone by tomorrow." I didn't ask for explanations. I didn't cry. I just went upstairs, packed 2 changes of clothes in a grocery bag, and left. At 11 o'clock at night, 79 years old, homeless, she thought she had destroyed me, but she didn't know what I was hiding on the other side of the city, nor what that night would change forever. If this story stirs something in you, subscribe. Every day there's a story that could be yours. Tell us where you're watching from. My name is Arthur Sanchez Calder. I am 79 years old. I am a widower. I was a history professor for 42 years, and that night, sitting at my daughter Ariana's table, I understood that my life no longer mattered to anyone. It was a Saturday. She had invited 6 people from her work. People who talked about 5-star hotels, foreign clients, promotions. I was there because she ordered me to be that morning. "Dad, if you come down, don't talk. Just serve yourself and be quiet." I didn't ask why. I didn't ask anything anymore. Since Eleanor, my wife, died, I learned it's better to be silent than to be a bother. I put on a clean shirt, combed my hair, went downstairs. And I sat at the head of the table where no one would have to look at me, where I could make myself invisible, because that's what Ariana wanted, for me to disappear without disappearing. The table smelled of expensive perfume and red wine. Ariana had set out the good dishes, the ones she'd kept since her marriage. There were candles, soft music, everything prepared to impress. I served myself a little salad. I chewed slowly, trying not to make a sound, trying not to disturb with the sound of my existence. Next to me was Catherine, the neighbor from the 4th floor, that woman who always looked at me with feigned pity. "Mr. Calder, how are you?" she asked me, with that sweet voice people use when they don't care about the answer. "Fine, thank you," I said. She smiled and went back to talking with the others. No one else spoke a word to me. It was as if I were an old painting hanging on the wall. I was there, but no one noticed, no one wanted to see it, it just took up space. And that's exactly what I was to Ariana, occupied space. Ariana laughed a lot that night, too much. I knew her. I knew that when she laughed so forced, it was because she was on the verge of collapse. That afternoon, her ex-husband, Gail, had called again asking for money. I heard it from my room. "I have nothing to give you, Gail. Leave me alone." She hung up and stood in the hallway, breathing heavily, her hands clenched. I went out to ask if she was okay. She looked at me as if I had interrupted something sacred, as if my presence were an invasion. "Dad, go to your room." I didn't say anything, I just went back. I closed the door and sat on the bed, staring at the wall, wondering when I had stopped being her father and become her burden. Was it when Eleanor died, or was it before? Was it gradual, or was there a specific day when I stopped mattering to her? I didn't know. I just knew it hurt. It hurt the way it hurts to feel invisible in your own family. During dinner, one of the guests told a joke about an old man who gets lost in the supermarket. Everyone laughed. I smiled too, although I didn't get the punchline. Although I knew the joke was about people like me, old in the way, confused. Ariana filled her wineglass for the 3rd time. Her hands were trembling a little. Catherine leaned toward her and said in a low but audible voice, "Oh, Ariana, it must be exhausting having your dad at home all day. I put my mother in a home. Years ago, it was the best thing for everyone." Ariana didn't answer, just nodded slightly, like someone receiving advice they had already considered, like someone who had already researched options. I gripped my fork, felt something hot rise in my chest, a mixture of rage and shame, but I said nothing because I knew that if I spoke, she would silence me in front of everyone, and that humiliation would have been worse than the silence. Then the moment came. After dinner, someone had brought cake. Ariana served it. I didn't want any. "I'm not hungry," I said. She didn't even look at me. She just left the plate in front of me and continued talking to her guests as if I hadn't spoken, as if I didn't exist. I took a sip of wine. It was warm, bitter. I looked toward the hallway for Luna. My granddaughter hadn't come down again. Every time Ariana had people over, Luna locked herself in her room, and I knew why. Because my granddaughter hated these fake gatherings, because she was the only one in that house who still looked me in the eye, who still asked how I was, who still hugged me when I came back from the market. But that night not even Luna came down, and that hurt more than anything else, because it meant that Ariana was pushing her away from me too, little by little, with orders disguised as suggestions. I looked at my plate, the cake untouched, and I remembered. Ariana was 7 years old. We had come to this table. Eleanor had made her chocolate birthday cake her favorite. Ariana blew out the candles, made 3 wishes, and then ran to me. "Dad, make a wish with me." And I wished. "That you always be happy, my love." She smiled, hugged me with those small arms that barely wrapped around my neck, and said, "I just want you to be with me always, always, Dad, forever." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and returned to the present, to this table, where that same girl, now a 43-year-old woman, had just told me I was in the way, that I should leave tomorrow, like someone asking for the trash to be taken out. And I wondered, at what point did that little girl break? Or was I the one who broke? Ariana got up to pour herself more wine. When she came back, she leaned toward me. I looked up. Her eyes were red, bright, tired, glassy from the alcohol and something else from years of accumulated resentment. She stared at me and said in a low but clear voice, with that coldness one only learns with practice, "Dad, you're my stress. I need you gone by tomorrow." Some of the guests heard her. One laughed nervously, unsure if it was a joke. Another coughed and looked away uncomfortably. Catherine raised her eyebrows with a knowing smile, as if to say, "It's about time." "Well done." I remained still, fork still in my hand, the wine half drunk, my heart beating slowly, as if it too wanted to give up. I didn't ask where, I didn't ask for explanations, I didn't beg, because I understood. There were no more explanations, only exhaustion, only rejection, only that sentence that broke me in two and finally showed me what I had always feared, that my daughter no longer loved me. Maybe she never did. I finished chewing slowly, calmly, as if nothing had happened. I set the fork on the plate without a sound. I wiped my mouth with the napkin, folded it, left it beside the plate, and stood up slowly. My knees creaked. No one looked at me. Everyone kept talking, laughing, drinking, as if I were no longer there, as if I had already left. I pushed the chair in carefully, without a sound, because even in my departure I wanted to be invisible, not to bother, not to inconvenience. I walked toward the stairs, and as I climbed, holding on to the railing because my legs no longer responded as they used to, I thought, this is the last time I'll climb these stairs. The last time I'll hear her guests' laughter. The last time I'll smell the expensive perfume of this house, because I knew that if I left, I wouldn't be back. Because I knew my daughter wasn't kicking me out for a few days. She was erasing me from her life, and I, for the first time in 3 years, was not going to beg her to let me stay. This time, I was going to leave before she officially threw me out. This time, I was going to leave with the little I had left. Dignity. I entered my room, the room that used to be the storage room. The room for things that are no longer useful. That's where Ariana kept the Christmas boxes, the old suitcases, the things she no longer used, and then she stored me there, among the boxes, among the forgotten. I opened the wardrobe, took out a green plastic grocery bag, one of those you keep just in case. I put in 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, underwear, my blood pressure pills, my ID, my notebook where I wrote down important things I didn't want to forget, because at 79 you start. To forget, and I didn't want to forget who I had been, and a photo of Eleanor. The photo was from 50 years ago. We were at the beach. She was smiling, I was too. We seemed immortal, we seemed invincible. It seemed nothing could separate us, but death separated us. And then loneliness. I looked at it for a moment, touched her face with my finger. "What do I do, my love?" I asked her softly. "Where do I go?" She didn't answer. She never answered, just looked at me with that eternal smile, with that frozen youth. I put the photo away, closed the bag, put on my coat, the same one I used to wear when I went to work, when I was still someone, and I left. I went down the stairs. Each step creaked, as if the house itself were saying goodbye. I passed by the living room. The guests were still there talking, laughing. Someone was telling a joke. Everyone laughed. Ariana had her back to me, serving coffee. She was wearing the black dress Eleanor had given her, the last gift, and she didn't even know it. No one saw me. Or maybe they saw me and didn't care. Or maybe they were glad. The old man is finally leaving. I opened the apartment door. The hallway was empty, lit by those white lights that hum, that never turn off, that illuminate but do not warm. I closed the door slowly, without a slam, without drama, like someone closing a chapter that no longer makes sense to read, like someone closing a book that ended badly. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, waited. I heard the laughter behind the door, growing more distant. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in. I saw my reflection in the metal, an old man with slumped shoulders, moist eyes, a bag in his hand, a man who no longer had a home. The doors closed. I went down, and with each floor that passed, I felt I was leaving behind not just an apartment, but an entire life, a daughter, an illusion, a love that was never returned. When I left the building, the cold air hit my face like a slap, like a reminder that the world outside wouldn't be any kinder than the one inside. Nathan, the neighbor from the second floor, was smoking by the door. He was a 64-year-old man, an ex-military type, one of those who speak little but see everything, who don't ask but understand. He looked at me. I looked back. He calmly stubbed out his cigarette against the wall, like someone with all the time in the world. He nodded his head, slowly, respectfully. He said nothing. It wasn't necessary, because in that gesture was everything. I know what happened. I heard. I saw, and I don't blame you. And if I could, I would help you, but I can't. I can only watch you leave and wish you luck. I nodded too. I returned the gesture as if to say, "Thank you for seeing me, for not judging me, for not laughing." And I kept walking. The street was empty. It was cold. The wind rustled the dry leaves. They made a sound like whispers, like voices telling me, "There's no going back now." I clutched the bag to my chest and walked without looking back, because I knew if I looked back, maybe I'd regret it, maybe I'd go back, maybe I'd beg. And there was no more time for regrets, no more space for humiliation. I walked 2 blocks to the bus stop. 2 blocks that seemed like 2 miles, because every step hurt, not in my legs, in my soul. There was a freezing metal bench. I sat down. The cold pierced through my coat. The wind whistled between the buildings like a lament, like a sad song no one wanted to hear. A taxi passed with its light on. I didn't hail it. I didn't have money to waste on taxis. And besides, what for? I was in no hurry. I had no destination. I just had a direction, a name, a hope. A young couple passed, arm in arm, laughing. He was whispering something in her ear. She laughed. They kissed. I looked away, not out of envy, but out of pain. Because I remembered when I used to hug Eleanor like that. When we walked down the street holding hands, when we were still happy, when we still mattered, when we still had a future. Now it didn't matter anymore. Now the future was over. Now I was an old man sitting on a bench with a grocery bag waiting for a bus to take me nowhere, or maybe somewhere. I didn't know yet, and as I waited I wondered, where does a man go when he no longer has a home? Where does he go when his own daughter tells him he's a burden? The bus arrived at 11:32, the 47 line. I know because I looked at the clock on the post 3 times, as if looking at the clock could stop time, as if it could delay the inevitable. That bus crossed the entire city, from downtown to New Hope, the neighborhood where I lived more than 40 years ago, when I was still young, when I still had a future, when Eleanor and I had just gotten married and everything was possible. I boarded slowly. My knees didn't respond like they used to. Each step was an effort, a negotiation with a body that no longer obeyed me. I gripped the handrail tightly because I was afraid of falling and even more afraid that no one would help me up. The driver looked up. He was a man in his 50s with a thick moustache and a worn blue uniform. He stared at me, frowning, as if trying to place me, and then his eyes widened. "Mr. Calder." I looked at him. It took me a second. Paul Aguirre, my student 30 years ago. He sat in the back, drew in the margins of his notebooks, maps, battles, ancient cities. But he was smart, very smart. One of those students you never forget. "It's me, Mr. Calder. I can't believe it's you." His voice held surprise and something else, concern, tenderness, like someone seeing an old friend who's in a bad way. He looked at the bag in my hand, the cheap green grocery bag. He looked at my face, the swollen eyes, the wrinkled clothes, the old coat, and he understood. I didn't ask how. Sometimes people just know, because pain can be seen, smelled, felt. "Get on, Mr. Calder, and keep your money. You're not paying me." I tried to protest, to take out my wallet, to do the right thing. "No, Paul, He raised his hand firmly. "You taught me how to read maps. You taught me that history isn't just dates, it's people. People who suffer, people who fight, people like you. This is the least I can do. Please, let me do this." I nodded. My chin trembled. I felt like I was going to cry, but I held it in because you don't cry on the bus. You don't cry in front of strangers. Although Paul was no longer a stranger, he was a reminder of when I still mattered, of when I was still someone. I walked to the back slowly, holding onto the seats. I sat in the last seat by the window. I put the bag on my lap, hugged it, as if it were the only thing I had left in the world, because it was the only thing I had left. Paul started the bus, the engine roared, and I looked out the window, watching the city pass, watching my life pass. The city passed slowly. Tall buildings with dark windows, lives lit up behind closed curtains, people eating dinner, watching television, laughing, living. Closed businesses with metal gates, graffiti on the walls, trash on the corners, empty streets lit by orange streetlights that flickered, about to go out. Like me. I recognized some corners, the bakery where Eleanor used to buy bread on Sundays, closed now with a "for sale" sign, the park where I used to take Ariana when she was a little girl, dark, empty. The playground equipment rusted, other corners I didn't recognize. Everything had changed. New buildings where houses used to be, parking lots where parks used to be. Or maybe I was the one who no longer belonged, the one who had gotten stuck in another time. I looked at my reflection in the glass, a wrinkled old man with tired eyes, 2 days stubble, disheveled hair. When did I get so old? I don't know. You don't realize it. It's gradual. One day you wake up, look in the mirror, and see your father, and then you understand. You've crossed over to the other side. You're now the old man people avoid on the bus, the one who smells like medicine, who coughs too much, who talks to himself. You're now the one who bothers just by existing, the one who's in the way. The bus stopped, squealing brakes, doors opening with a tired sigh. A young woman got on with a sleeping baby in her arms. She must have been about 25. Hair pulled back, tired face, simple clothes. She sat at the front. The baby didn't wake up. His mouth was open, his little hands clenched. The woman rocked him gently with that tenderness only mothers have, that automatic, unconscious movement, that pure love that asks for nothing in return. I looked at her and felt something sharp in my chest, a real physical pain. Because I remembered when Ariana was like that, small, helpless, perfect, when she needed me for everything, to eat, to sleep, to laugh, when I was her hero, her entire world. "Dad, carry me. Dad, tell me a story. Dad, I'm scared, don't go," and I never left. I would stay by her bed until she fell asleep. I sang her songs. I made up stories for her. When did she stop needing me? When did I go from being her hero to being her burden? Was it when she grew up? Was it when she got married? Was it when Luna was born? Or was it when Eleanor died and there was no one left to remind her that I deserved love too? The bus started again. The woman got off 3 stops later. The baby was still asleep, and I kept looking out the window, watching my life pass by, watching everything I lost pass by. Paul watched me in the rearview mirror. I saw him. Our eyes met from time to time. He would look away, I would too. But we both knew. I knew he wanted to ask. He wanted to know what an old man like me was doing, alone with a grocery bag at 11 at night. He wanted to know if I was okay, if I had somewhere to go, if I needed help, but he didn't ask. And I silently thanked him with every mile that passed, because there are questions that open wounds, that force you to say out loud what you can barely think. And mine were still fresh, still bleeding, still hurt with every breath. The bus continued on its route, slow, tired, like me. We passed wide, deserted avenues, neighborhoods I used to know, where I had lived, where I had worked, where I had been happy, places where I was no longer welcome, where I no longer belonged. And then we reached St. Vincent's Hospital, that white building that took everything from me. That's where Eleanor had died 3 years ago, 3 years, 2 months and 14 days ago. But who's counting? And I instinctively closed my eyes, squeezing them shut as if that could erase the image, as if that could erase the memory. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to remember, but I couldn't help it. The hospital was still there, white, cold, imposing, with that red cross on its facade that promised salvation but only delivered goodbyes. Eleanor had died on the 3rd floor. Room 312. I knew the number by heart, just as I knew her birth date, her favorite food, the perfume she wore, pancreatic cancer, fast, brutal, merciless. They gave her 6 months, she lived for 4, and each day was worse than the last. In her final days, she no longer spoke. She just looked at me with those eyes that said everything she could no longer say with words. "I love you. Forgive me. Take care of yourself. Don't forget me." And I held her hand, thin, cold, transparent. I told her she was going to be okay, that we would get through this together, that the medicine would work, that God would perform a miracle. But we both knew the truth. We both knew it was a lie, that we only had hours, minutes, seconds left. And when she closed her eyes for the last time, when her hand went limp in mine, when the monitor stopped beeping, and only that long, constant tone remained, I just sat there next to her bed, not knowing how to go on, not knowing what to go on for, because Eleanor wasn't just my wife, she was my reason, my compass, my home. And without her, I was just a man waiting to die, waiting for my name to be called, waiting to be reunited with her. I opened my eyes as the bus passed the hospital. I took a deep breath. The air burned my lungs. Paul looked at me in the mirror. This time he didn't look away. He held my gaze with those eyes that understood, that knew, that didn't judge. And in that silence, in that wordless exchange, I understood. He knew. He knew something bad had happened. He knew I was running away. He knew I was broken. But he didn't judge. He didn't feel pity. He just drove, just took me, just gave me space to breathe. And that, in some strange way, in a way I can't explain, gave me the strength to go on, to not give up, to not throw myself from the moving bus and let myself die on the street. The bus kept moving. We passed through neighborhoods I no longer recognized, new buildings where humble houses used to be, giant supermarkets where there used to be corner stores with owners who knew you by name. Everything different, everything foreign, everything hostile, as if the city were telling me, "You don't belong here anymore. Your time has passed. There's no room for you." At one stop, a boy got on with his grandfather. The boy must have been about 8, with messy hair and a rolling backpack. The grandfather was about 70, white hair, a cane, a plaid shirt. The boy held his hand tightly, like someone who doesn't want to let go. He helped him up slowly. "Grandpa, one step at a time," found him a seat. "Sit here. This is the best one." And the grandfather smiled, grateful, loved, needed. I looked at them and felt a pang in my chest that almost doubled me over, because I had been that grandfather too. Luna would hold my hand, wait for me after school, run to me shouting, "Grandpa," ask me questions. "Grandpa, why is the sky blue? Grandpa, when are we going to the park? Grandpa, do you love me?" And I would always answer, "More than anything in the world, my love." When had she stopped doing that? When had she stopped waiting for me? When had she stopped running to me? Or had Ariana been the one to push her away from me? Who told her not to look for me? Who told her I was a burden? I didn't know. I just knew the last time Luna hugged me was months ago. 4 months and something, and that I missed those hugs more than I could admit, more than I could bear. The boy and his grandfather got off 2 stops later. The boy helped him down. "Careful, Grandpa." And I stayed there, watching them walk away, wishing I were that grandfather, wishing I had a grandchild who loved me, who took care of me, who needed me. The trip lasted 53 minutes. I know because I counted every minute looking at the bus clock, watching the numbers change, because every minute that passed was a minute further from Ariana, a minute further from that table where they told me I was in the way. A minute closer to what? I didn't know. I just knew I had to get away. The bus gradually emptied. The woman with the baby got off. A group of loud teenagers too, laughing, smelling of alcohol and cheap perfume. A drunk man who got on halfway, stumbling, talking to himself. In the end, it was just me and Paul, alone on that empty bus crossing the sleeping city. He slowed down, slower than usual, as if giving me time, as if waiting for me to change. My mind. He looked in the mirror. "Mr. Calder, are you sure you're going to be okay?" His voice held genuine concern, real, not faked. I nodded. I tried to smile, but it didn't come out. "Yes, Paul, thank you. Thank you for everything." He didn't seem convinced. He looked at me like someone looking at a person about to do something irreversible. But he didn't insist. He just kept driving slowly to the end, to the last stop, to where the line ended, to where the city ended, to where maybe my new life was beginning, or where the one I had was ending. New hope, last stop. Paul's voice sounded tired, hoarse, as if he too were reaching the end of something. He stopped the bus. The engine died. The silence was deafening. I stood up slowly, holding onto the seat in front of me. My knees creaked, protested, they ached, everything ached. I walked to the door. Every step was an effort. Paul turned in his seat. He looked at me, with those eyes full of something I couldn't identify. Pity, respect, fear. "Mr. Calder, my number is on the company sign. If you need anything, anything. At all, call me any time. Seriously." I nodded. I wanted to say something. I wanted to thank him. I wanted to tell him he had been a good student, that I remembered him, that I was glad to see him doing well, but the words wouldn't come out. They got stuck in my throat. I just nodded again like a fool, like an old man who no longer knows how to speak, and I got off. The night cold hit my face like a punch. The bus started up behind me. I heard the engine fade away. I saw the red lights recede like two red eyes watching me. And then I was alone in the middle of an empty, dark, cold street, with a bag in my hand and nowhere to go except one place. The only place where I might still matter. The only place where someone might still remember me. New Hope, the neighborhood of my youth, of when everything was possible, of when I still had dreams. Streets of uneven cobblestones that made you stumble. Old-fashioned streetlights that still worked with a yellowish, weak, flickering light. Low houses with rusty fences, neglected gardens, barking dogs. It smelled of bread, of freshly baked bread, that unmistakable smell that takes you back to childhood. And then I remembered Beatrice from St. Joseph's Bakery, where Eleanor used to buy bread every Sunday. And if Beatrice was still there, then Leo was too. Leo Serrano, my best friend since we were 17, since we were young and stupid and thought we were immortal. We had lost touch 8 years ago when I moved in with Ariana, when I thought it was the right thing to do, when I still believed my daughter needed me, when I still believed that family was forever. But Leo lived here, in the house with the blue door, number 47. I knew because I once lived 3 blocks away in a house that no longer exists, that was demolished to make a parking lot. I walked slowly, dragging my feet, clutching the bag as if it were a lifesaver. The streets were dark, empty, only the wind and my footsteps and my breathing could be heard. But I knew them by heart, every corner, every tree, every crack in the pavement, because I had been happy here. I had been young here. Maybe here I could be someone again. I reached the house, a faded blue door, bluer in my memory than in reality. Peeling paint falling off in pieces, windows with white curtains yellowed by time, a light on inside. Someone was awake. Someone lived there. I took a deep breath. The air burned my lungs. I raised my hand. It was trembling, and I knocked once, softly, almost inaudibly. I waited. Nothing. I knocked again, harder, 2 sharp knocks that echoed in the night. Silence. And then I heard slow, shuffling steps, someone walking with difficulty, someone old like me. The door opened, slowly, creaking, and there he was. Leo, 81 years old, 2 years older than me, but he looked 100. White hair, whiter than I remembered, thick glasses, old blue-striped pajamas, worn with holes. He looked at me, squinting. It took him 3 seconds, maybe 4, as if trying to place me, as if searching his memory, and then he recognized me. His eyes widened, his mouth too, but he said nothing. He didn't ask anything. He didn't say, "What are you doing here?" He didn't say, "What happened?" He didn't say, "Are you okay?" He just opened the door wider, with that universal gesture of welcome, of acceptance, of brotherhood. "Come in." It wasn't a question, it was an order full of understanding, of love, of that thing only old friends understand without needing words. I entered, I crossed the threshold, and it was like crossing from one world to another, from darkness to light, from cold to warmth, from loneliness to companionship. Leo closed the door behind me carefully, as if closing the door on the past, as if protecting the present. And for the first time in 3 years, since Eleanor died, I felt I had come home, to a place where I didn't have to apologize for existing, to a place where I still mattered, to a place where maybe I could start living again. Leo closed the door behind me. He said nothing, just walked to the kitchen. I stood in the entryway, holding the bag, not knowing what to do. The house smelled old, of medicine, of time standing still. Everything was the same as 40 years ago. The dark wood table, the pendulum clock that no longer worked, the painting of the Virgin on the wall. But there was something new, something that wasn't there before. On the table next to a glass of water was a bottle of pills, morphine. I recognized it because Eleanor took them at the end. Leo returned with 2 steaming mugs. Chamomile tea. Sit down. His voice sounded tired, more tired than I remembered. I sat. Leo sat across from me with difficulty. I saw how he gripped the edge of the table, how he winced in pain. "Are you okay?" I asked. He nodded, but I wasn't convinced. "Leo, those pills." He looked down, sighed. "Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I have 3 months left. Maybe 4, if I'm lucky." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. "What?" My voice came out broken. Leo took a sip of tea. "They diagnosed me 6 months ago. I didn't want to tell anyone." "What for? There's nothing to be done now." I was speechless, staring at him, and then I understood. My only friend was also dying, and I didn't even know. I just stared at him. Leo, my friend, the one who taught me to play chess when we were 17, the one who was with me on my wedding day, the one who cried with me when Eleanor died, and now he was telling me he was dying, and I hadn't been there. I hadn't known. I hadn't been able to say goodbye. "Leo, I'm sorry." He shook his head. "There's nothing to forgive. I should have been there. You're here now, and that's all that matters." I wiped my eyes, but the tears kept coming because I was losing everything. Eleanor, Ariana, Leo, and I didn't know how to keep losing and stay standing. "Why didn't you call me?" I asked, a mix of anger and pain in my voice. Leo looked at me. "I called your house 4 months ago," Ariana answered. "I told her I needed to talk to you, that it was urgent." He paused, took a breath. "She told me, 'Leo, my dad can't be around old friends anymore. He's not right in the head. If you call again, I'll report you for harassment.'" I felt something break inside me. "What?" Leo nodded. "I asked her to tell you I had called." She laughed and hung up. I put my face in my hands. I couldn't breathe. Ariana hadn't just humiliated me, she had also cut my last tie. To the world, to my past, to my life. I tried calling 2 more times. She always answered. The 3rd time she threatened to block the number. Leo set his mug on the table. His hands were trembling. "Arthur, your daughter didn't just kick you out of her house. She erased you from your life." And then something inside me exploded. I shot up from my chair. It fell backward. "She had no right," I shouted. My voice sounded hoarse, desperate. "I took care of her. I gave her everything." Leo said nothing, just watched me with that look of someone who understands pain because they have lived it too. I paced in circles, hands on my head, breathing hard. Why? Why did she do this to me? Leo stood up slowly, came to me, put a hand on my shoulder. "Because tired people become cruel, Arthur, and your daughter is tired, but that doesn't justify anything." I shook my head. "I never, ever hurt her. I never asked her for anything." Leo squeezed my shoulder. "I know, but sometimes people don't need reasons to reject you. They just need space. And you were taking up that space. I felt the tears run down my face, hot, angry. Eleanor was right," I murmured. Leo frowned. "What?" "My wife. Before she died, she told me, 'Ariana is afraid of growing old, and that's why one day she'll be afraid of you.' I didn't believe her. I thought it was the pain talking, but she was right." Leo let go of me, went back to his seat. "Arthur, there's something else you need to know." I looked at him. What else could there be? He took a deep breath. "My kids don't talk to me either. I haven't heard from them. In 3 years, when I told them I had cancer, they said, 'Dad, you're old, it's natural. Don't call us with this drama anymore.'" I felt a lump in my throat. "Oh, Leo." He raised his hand. "Don't pity me. I'm telling you this because you need to know something. You're not alone. There are thousands of old men like us, thrown out, forgotten, waiting to die without bothering anyone." And at that moment, in that old kitchen with my dying friend, I understood the most painful truth of all. To grow old is to become invisible. I collapsed into the chair, put my hands on the table, and I wept, not with silent tears. I wept with sobs, with groans, with my mouth open and my chest shaking. I cried for Ariana, for Leo, for Eleanor, for myself, for all the old people in the world who die alone feeling like a burden. Leo didn't console me. He didn't tell me everything would be okay. He just sat there across from me, waiting, because sometimes the best company is silence. And when I finally stopped crying, when I had no tears left, Leo said, "There's a bed in the back room. The sheets are clean. Sleep. We'll continue tomorrow." I got up as best I could, grabbed my bag and walked to the back room. It was small, a bed, a wardrobe, a window. I sat on the bed, the springs creaked. I looked at the ceiling. There were water stains, a crack. And then I thought, why go on? Why wake up tomorrow if I don't matter to anyone? If my own daughter hates me, if my best friend is dying, if my wife is dead, what's the point? I lay down, closed my eyes, and wished I wouldn't wake up. I wished that sleep would take everything away, the pain, the shame, the loneliness. But it didn't happen. I just slept. And I dreamed of Eleanor, of when we were still young, when we were still happy. I woke with a start. I don't know what time it was. It was dark. I heard a noise, a thud. It came from the living room. I got up, left the room. Leo was on the floor. He had tripped. He was trying to get up, but he couldn't. "Leo!" I ran to him. I helped him up. He was light, too light. "I'm fine," he murmured. But he wasn't fine. He was shaking, sweating. I took him to the sofa, sat him down. "Does it hurt?" He nodded. "It always hurts." I went for the pills, gave them to him with water. I waited. Slowly, the shaking stopped. Leo took a deep breath. "Thanks." I shook my head. "Don't thank me. You opened your door to me when no one else would." We stayed there in silence, Leo on the sofa, me sitting on the floor beside him, and then he said, "Arthur, don't give up." I looked at him. "Why not?" he smiled. A sad smile, because giving up is admitting that the ones who kicked you out were right. It's telling them, "You were right, I'm worthless." I swallowed. But what if it's true? What if I really am worthless? Leo looked at me intently. "You are worthy. You're worthy because you're here, because you helped me up, because you still cry. The worthless ones don't feel anything anymore. You still feel, and that means you're still alive." I didn't answer, but his words stayed with me like a seed planted in dry earth. I went back to the room. I lay down again, but this time I didn't wish to die. I just wished to wake up and find a reason to keep going, a reason that wasn't Ariana or Eleanor or the past, a new reason, my own reason. I closed my eyes and slept deeply, without dreams, and when I woke up there was light and Leo was alive and so was I, and for now that was enough. I woke with the sun on my face. Everything hurt, my back, my knees, my soul, but I was alive. I got up, went to the bathroom, washed my face with cold water, looked in the mirror. I was still an old man, but I no longer looked like a defeated old man, just a tired one. I left the room. Leo was already awake. He was in the kitchen, making coffee. He moved slowly, holding on to the furniture. "Good morning," I said. He turned, smiled. "Good morning. Did you sleep?" I nodded. "Better than I expected." He poured 2 cups. "Good. Today we're going to the bakery. I need bread. And you need some air." I didn't argue, I just nodded, because he was right. We had breakfast in silence, toast with butter, bitter coffee, simple, perfect. When we finished, Leo stood up. "Let's go." We went out. The street was quiet. The sun was still low. It was cool. We walked 3 blocks, Leo with his cane, me by his side watching in case he stumbled. We arrived at the bakery, St. Joseph's Bakery. The sign was worn. We went in, and there was Beatrice, a woman in her 60s with a white apron and a warm smile. She saw us enter and froze. "Mr. Calder." Her voice held surprise, disbelief, and something else, something I couldn't identify at that moment, but which I later understood. It was pity. "It's me, Beatrice," I said. She approached, but didn't hug me as I expected. She just looked me up and down. "What are you doing around here?" Her tone was odd, careful, like someone walking on broken glass. "He's staying with me for a few days," Leo intervened. Beatrice nodded slowly, still looking at me, and then she said, "Mr. Calder, does your daughter know you're here?" I froze. "No, why?" Beatrice exchanged a look with Leo. "She came by about 2 years ago, asked about you. I told her I hadn't seen you." I frowned. "Ariana came here?" Beatrice nodded. "She said you had run away, that you were senile, that if I saw you I should call her immediately." I felt a cold chill run down my spine. "What?" Beatrice looked down. "I didn't believe her. You never seemed senile to me." "But she insisted. She left her number. She told me you were dangerous, that you could get lost, that you had to be returned." Leo squeezed my arm, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "That was 2 years ago," I murmured. Beatrice nodded. "Yes, you were still living with her then." I nodded, and then I understood. Ariana had wanted me out for years. She was already planning how to get rid of me. She was just waiting for the right moment. And that moment came last Saturday, when she finally told me to leave, when she finally executed the plan she had been building for years. "Mr. Calder, are you okay?" Beatrice asked. I wasn't okay, but I nodded. "Yes, thank you for telling me." She sighed. "I didn't know whether to tell you, but I thought you had to know. We bought bread, Leo paid, we left, walked in silence. I was processing. Ariana hadn't kicked me out on an impulse. It wasn't the stress of the moment. It was planned, calculated. She had been wanting me gone for years, and she finally succeeded. And I, like a fool, thought she still loved me, that I was still her dad. But no, I was just a problem she had been postponing until she couldn't anymore. We got back to the house, went inside. I sat on the sofa, put my head in my hands. Leo sat beside me. "Arthur, don't say anything," I murmured. "Just don't say anything." We sat there in silence until Leo's phone rang. He looked at it, frowned. "It's a number I don't know." He answered. "Hello." I heard a female voice on the other end. Young, desperate. Leo looked at me. "It's for you." He handed me the phone. "Hello." "Grandpa." It was Luna, my granddaughter. But her voice sounded strange, broken. "Luna, what's wrong?" "Grandpa, I ran away." I felt my heart stop. "What?" "I ran away from home. I can't stand Mom anymore. I hate her, Grandpa. I hate her." She was crying. I stood up. "Luna, where are you?" "At the bus station. I took money from my piggy bank. I bought a ticket. I'm coming there." "How did you know where I am?" I asked Paul, the driver of the 47. He told me. I closed my eyes. "Luna, you have to go back." "No, I'm not going back." "Mom hit me, Grandpa. She hit me because I defended you." I felt rage, pure rage. "She hit you?" "Yes. I told her you were a good man, that she had no right to kick you out, and she hit me. She told me I was an ungrateful brat, that I didn't know anything about life. If you're listening to my story, leave me a comment telling me where you're watching from. Sometimes I need to know I'm not alone in this. Luna, has the bus left already?" "Yes, I'll be there in an hour." I looked at Leo. He nodded as if to say, "Let her come." I sighed. "All right, come, but then we'll talk to your mom." "I don't want to talk to her." "Luna." "No, Grandpa. She kicked you out. She humiliated you, and I'm never going to forgive her." She hung up. I stood there with the phone in my hand. Leo looked at me. "What happened?" "Luna ran away. She's coming here." "Ariana hit her." Leo closed his eyes. "My God." I nodded. "This is going to get worse." An hour later, Luna arrived. She knocked on the door. I opened it, and there was my granddaughter, 16 years old, thin, with messy hair, a backpack on her shoulder, and a bruise on her arm. I hugged her tightly. She clung to me and cried, "Grandpa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You Don't have to apologize, my love. You didn't do anything wrong. I should have defended you sooner. I should have said something when she kicked you out. Luna, you don't have to defend me. I'm the adult. She pulled away, looked at me with those tear-filled eyes. But she has no right, Grandpa. She has no right to treat you like that. I nodded. I know, but it's over now. And you're here. And that's what matters. Luna sat beside me, looked at me intently. Grandpa, you know what the worst part was? I shook my head. The worst part wasn't that Mom kicked you out. It was that I didn't say anything. I was in my room. I heard everything, the dinner, the laughter, what she said to you, and I didn't come down. I didn't defend you. I just stayed upstairs crying, hating myself for being a coward. I took her hand. Luna, no, Grandpa, let me finish. When you left, I came down. I asked Mom where you were, and she said, he's gone, and he's not coming back because he finally understood he wasn't wanted here. And I told her, you're not wanted either, Mom, but no one has the guts to tell you. And she hit me. For the first time in my life, she hit me. She cried, and so did I. Luna greeted Leo. He welcomed her with a smile. Welcome, child. She smiled shyly. She sat on the sofa. I made her tea, gave her some bread. She ate slowly, and then Leo's phone rang again. This time the name on the screen was clear. Ariana. Leo looked at me. Should I answer? I took a deep breath. Yes, answer. Leo answered, put it on speaker. And then we heard Ariana's voice, shouting, desperate, furious. Where is my daughter? Leo, if my father has her there, I swear I'll call the police. Give her back to me right now. Luna tensed. I put a hand on her shoulder, and then I spoke, calmly, firmly. Ariana, it's me. Silence on the other end, and then her voice, broken, enraged. Dad, give me back my daughter. She's fine, she's with me, and she's staying here until you calm down. You have no right. You had no right to hit her either. More silence. And then, with a trembling voice, she told you. Yes, she told me. Dad, I didn't want to. Yes, you did, and you did it, and now you're going to live with the consequences. What consequences? Luna is staying with me, at least for now. And you're going to think about what you did. To me, to her, to everyone. I hung up. Ariana called again. I didn't answer. She called 5 more times. I turned off the phone and looked at Luna. She was looking at me with her eyes full of tears. Thank you, Grandpa. I nodded, and for the first time in days, I felt something like a purpose. To protect my granddaughter, even from her own mother. That night, Luna slept on the sofa. Leo lent her blankets. I stayed awake, sitting in the kitchen, looking out the window. I couldn't sleep. I thought about Ariana, about her voice when she called. Desperate, furious, but not repentant, never repentant. At 3 in the morning, Leo's phone rang again. He was asleep. I answered, hello. Silence. And then a voice I hadn't heard in years. Arthur. It was Irene, my sister, the youngest, 68 years old. She lived out of state. Since Eleanor died, we barely spoke. Irene, thank God. Ariana called me. She said you ran away, that you abandoned the house, that you're senile and dangerous. I closed my eyes. I'm not senile, Irene. I know. That's why I'm calling. Ariana is saying horrible things. She says you abused her, that you stole money from her, that Luna is in danger with you. I felt something explode inside me. What? My voice came out louder than I wanted. Luna stirred on the sofa. I lowered my tone. Irene, she kicked me out. She told me I was her stress, that I should leave, and I left. Irene sighed on the other end. I know, brother, I know. That's why I'm calling, because you need to know what she's saying. She's rewriting everything. She called half the world, the neighbors, her work. She even called Daniel. I froze. Daniel? Yes. She told him you went crazy, that you need psychiatric help, that Luna manipulated you. I couldn't believe it, but at the same time I could, because that was Ariana. When things didn't go her way, she changed the story. Irene, did you believe her? There was a long, painful silence. At first, yes. I thought, my brother is old. Maybe he really is confused. But then I called Nathan, your neighbor. He told me everything. He told me about the dinner, what Ariana said to you, how you left with just a bag. And then I knew. My niece kicked you out, and now she's lying so she doesn't look bad. I felt relief. At least someone believed me. Thank you, Irene. Don't thank me. I should have called you sooner. I should have asked how you were. But I was tired too, sick. And I thought Ariana was taking care of you. She wasn't. Taking care of me, Irene. She was putting up with me until she couldn't anymore. Irene cried, "Forgive me, brother. Forgive me for not being there. You don't have to apologize. No one has to apologize. I just need you to know the truth. I know it. And I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to call Ariana and tell her she's a liar, that what she did was wrong. No, Irene, don't. Why not? Because it will only make things worse. Let her be. Let her have her lies. I don't need people to believe me anymore. I just need peace." Irene sighed. "All right, but brother, come to my house, please. Don't stay there. I'm fine here, Irene. Leo is taking care of me." There was a silence, and then Irene said something that chilled my blood. "Arthur, Daniel wants to talk to you too." I was speechless. Daniel, my younger brother, 72. We hadn't spoken in 8 years. Since our mother died, since we fought over the inheritance. He wanted to sell the house. I wanted to keep it because I had cared for Mom until the end. We fought. He said horrible things to me. "You were always the favorite. Always you. I don't exist for this family." And he hung up and never called again until now. "I don't want to talk to him," I said. "Arthur, he's sick." I felt a cold knot in my stomach. "What?" "Advanced cancer. That's why he wants to talk to you before it's too late." I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. Daniel, sick, dying like Leo, like Eleanor, like everyone. "Arthur, give him a chance, please." "Irene, he told me I ruined his life, that because of me he was never happy." "I know, and he regrets it. He told me, crying, 'I want to ask Arthur for forgiveness before I die. Please, brother, talk to him.'" I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. "All right, tell him to call me." Irene sighed in relief. Thank you, brother. But Irene, if he comes with lies or manipulations, I'm hanging up. He won't. I promise." We hung up. I sat there staring at the phone. Daniel, after 8 years, what could he possibly say that would change anything? The next morning, while we were having breakfast, someone came to the door. Leo opened it. It was a woman of about 38, thin, with a tired face, her hair pulled back. "Mr. Serrano." He nodded. "I'm Sarah Giron. I don't know if you remember me." Leo frowned, and then he remembered. "The housekeeper who used to work at Ariana's." She nodded. "Yes. Is he here?" I got up, came out of the kitchen. I saw her, and something inside me broke, because Sarah had been good to me. She treated me with respect. She listened to me, and Ariana had fired her without explanation. Sarah. She saw me, and her eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Calder, thank God." She came in, sat down. I served her coffee. She was trembling. "Mr. Calder, I tried to find you. I called the house. Ariana blocked me. I wrote to Luna. She told me you had left, and then I found Mr. Serrano's number on an old piece of paper I had saved." Leo nodded. "She called me 2 days ago. I told her Arthur was here." Sarah looked at me. "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago. But I was afraid. I tensed." "What?" She took a deep breath. "Ariana asked me to give you the wrong pills, to mix up the doses, to let you sleep more, not to wake you up for meals. She would say, 'The more he sleeps, the less he bothers.'" I felt as if ice water had been thrown on me. "What?" Sarah nodded, crying. I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do it. That's why she fired me, because I refused. I told her, Mom, that's abuse. I can't do it. And she screamed at me, told me I didn't know anything, that her father was a manipulator, that I was a fool, and she fired me without paying me for the last 2 weeks. Leo put a hand on my shoulder. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Ariana hadn't just kicked me out, she had tried to sedate me to keep me asleep so I wouldn't bother, so I wouldn't exist. Mr. Calder, I saved the messages. If you need them, I can show them to you. Luna, who had heard everything from the sofa, got up, came to me, hugged me. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I hugged her tightly. It's not your fault, my love. None of this is your fault. Sarah wiped her tears. There's more. Ariana was selling your medications, the ones that were left over. She sold them online to make some extra money. And she hid the bank statements. You have a pension, Mr. Calder, that gets deposited every month, but she never gave it to you. She used it for her own things. I felt rage, pure rage, not for the money, for the betrayal, for the lies, for the contempt. Why are you telling me this now? Sarah looked at me intently. Because when I found out Luna was here, I knew things were going to explode, and you need to know who you're dealing with. Ariana is not going to give up. She's going to come and lie. She's going to cry. She's going to manipulate, but she's not going to change, because she doesn't believe she did anything wrong. She believes you are the problem, and she always will. And at that moment, with Sarah in front of me, with Luna hugging my side, with Leo beside me, I understood. There was no going back. My daughter had betrayed me in ways I couldn't even imagine, and I could no longer forgive her, because to forgive someone like that would be to betray myself. Sarah stayed for 2 hours. She showed us the messages, the conversations with Ariana, the orders, the threats. If you tell my father anything, I'll sue you. You don't know what it's like to live with an old man in the house. Do what I say or find another job. I read every message, and each one was a dagger. Luna read them too, and cried. Mom, how could she? I had no answer because I didn't understand. I didn't understand how my daughter, the little girl I had held in my arms, who I had taken to school, who I had comforted when she cried, had become this, someone capable of hurting me without remorse. When Sarah left, I remained seated on the sofa. Luna was by my side, Leo in his chair. None of us spoke until Luna said, Grandpa, there's something else you need to know. I looked at her. What? She got up, went to her backpack, and took out an old notebook with worn covers and yellowed pages. I found this in Mom's room. It was hidden at the back of her closet. I think it belonged to Grandma. She handed it to me. I took it. My hands were shaking. It was Eleanor's diary. I recognized it by the handwriting, by the scent of lavender, of her. Did you read it? I asked. Luna shook her head. No, I felt like I shouldn't. It's yours. I opened the diary. The first pages were from years ago, decades, simple notes. Today, Arthur gave me flowers. Ariana took her first steps. We went to the movies. We laughed. Happy things, normal things. But towards the end, the entries changed, became dark, sad. Ariana is changing. She doesn't smile like she used to. I asked her if she was okay. She yelled at me, told me to stay out of her life. Arthur doesn't see it, but I do. Our daughter is leaving us behind. I turned the pages and reached the last entry, dated 3 days before Eleanor died, and what I read broke me in two. I kept reading, another entry from 2 years before her death. Today was Arthur's birthday. Ariana didn't come. She called, said she had to work, but I heard laughter in the background. She was at a bar with friends and chose that over being with her father. Arthur pretended he didn't care, but I saw it. I saw how the light went out of his eyes when he hung up the phone, and I didn't know what to say. Because what do you say to a man whose own daughter has forgotten him? I turned another page. Ariana came today, but not to see us, to ask for money again. Arthur gave her everything he had, and she didn't even say thank you. Just grabbed the envelope and left. And I was left thinking, when did she become like this? Was it our fault, or are some people just born not knowing how to love? Today, Ariana came to the hospital, not to see me, but to ask how much time I had left. I told her, not much, weeks, maybe days. And she sighed, not with sadness, with relief, like someone shedding a weight. And then she said, "And Dad? Will he be okay on his own?" I told her, "Your father won't be alone. He'll have you." She laughed, a bitter laugh. "Mom, I can't take care of Dad. I have my life, my job, my daughter. I can't." I said, "He's your father, Ariana. He needs you." And she looked at me intently. "Mom, I didn't choose him. You chose me, but I didn't choose this." And she left without saying goodbye, without hugging me. And I lay there in that hospital bed knowing my daughter is going to reject her father, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. I closed the diary. My hands were trembling. Luna was watching me. "What does it say, Grandpa?" I couldn't speak, I just handed her the diary. She read and put her hands to her mouth. "No, it can't be." Leo read it too and shook his head. Eleanor knew. I nodded. Yes, she knew, and she couldn't do anything. Luna cried, "Grandpa, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." I hugged her. "Don't apologize, my love. You are not your mother. You are different." She clung to me. "I will never abandon you, ever." And I knew it was true because Luna had Eleanor's heart, not Ariana's. I kept reading. There was more. A loose note, written in a trembling hand, as if Eleanor could barely hold the pen. "Arthur, if you are reading this, it's because I'm gone, and it's because something went wrong, something I feared. Ariana rejected you. I know. I saw it coming for years. I saw it. The way she looked at you, the way she sighed when you spoke, the way she avoided hugging you. I tried to talk to her, tried to make her understand, but she wouldn't listen. And now, my love, I tell you this. Don't go back. If she threw you out, don't go back. Don't beg her. Don't humiliate yourself, because Ariana doesn't know how to love, and you deserve to be loved." The tears fell on the paper, smudging the ink. "Your place is not with her. Your place is where you are welcomed with open arms, where you don't have to apologize for existing, where you are not a burden. Find Leo. He was always your true brother. More than Daniel, more than anyone. Find him and stay with him. And live, Arthur. Live without guilt, without shame, without apologizing for growing old. Because growing old is not a crime, it's a privilege, and you deserve to live it in peace. I love you. I always loved you, and wherever I am, I will be watching over you. Eleanor." I closed the diary, pressed it against my chest, and cried like I hadn't cried since she died, because Eleanor had known me, had understood me, and had given me permission to be happy without Ariana. Luna hugged me. Leo put a hand on my shoulder, and we stayed like that, the three of us, in that old house, with that old diary and those old truths that were finally coming to light. After a while, I calmed down, wiped my face, and said, "And Eleanor was right. I'm not going back." Luna nodded. "You don't have to go back, Grandpa. You can stay here with me, with Mr. Serrano." Leo smiled. "This house is yours, Arthur, for as long as you need." I nodded, and for the first time in days I felt something like hope. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was something. It was the certainty that it was worth going on, that Eleanor was watching over me, even from death. That afternoon, someone knocked on the door. Leo went to open it, and then I heard a deep, hoarse, familiar voice. "Is Arthur here?" Leo turned to me, looked at me as if asking, "Do you want to see this person?" I got up, went to the door, and there was Daniel, my brother. 72 years old, but he looked 90. Thin, pale, with deep, dark circles under his eyes, with a cane, in clothes that were too big for him. And when he saw me, his eyes welled up. Arthur. I didn't answer, just looked at him and waited, because this time I wasn't going to be the one to speak first. This time he had to make the first move. Daniel looked down. "Can I come in?" Leo looked at me. I nodded. Daniel came in. He sat on the sofa. I sat across from him. Luna was in the kitchen. Leo, too, giving us space. Daniel looked at me and said, "I came to ask for your forgiveness." I didn't answer, just waited. He continued, "What I said to you 8 years ago was wrong. I was angry, resentful, jealous. Mum always preferred you and I never got over it, but that doesn't justify anything. You took care of her, you sacrificed, and I just wanted money." His voice broke. "And now I'm dying, and I realize I wasted 8 years. Years I could have spent with you. Years I could have been your brother." I felt something in my chest. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something. It was understanding, because Daniel was also alone, also scared, also dying with no one to care for him. "Why are you here now?" I asked. Daniel looked at me. "Because Irene told me what Ariana did to you, and I saw myself in her. The same anger, the same resentment, the same inability to love. And I don't want to die being like her. I don't want to die hating you." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath and said, "I don't hate you, Daniel. I never hated you. I was just hurt that you left me." He nodded. "I know. And I'm sorry, really. I'm sorry." And at that moment in that house, with my sick brother in front of me, I understood. Forgiveness doesn't erase the pain, but it does allow you to move forward. And I was tired of holding grudges. Daniel and I just sat there looking at each other. It had been 8 years since the last time. 8 years of silence, of resentment, of words that were never said. He looked so sick, so fragile, so broken. "How much time do you have left?" I asked. He looked down. 3 months, maybe less. I nodded. "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Don't be. I deserve it. For everything I did to you. For everything I said." Leo appeared with coffee. He served us in silence. Luna was still in the kitchen, listening. Daniel took a sip and then said, "Arthur, I need you to listen to me. Without judgment, just listen. When Mom died, I was furious. Not at you, at life. Because I cared for her too. I was there too. But she only ever talked about you. Arthur does this. Arthur is so good. I was invisible, and when she died and left the house in your name, I felt like I was being erased all over again." His voice broke. "But it wasn't your fault. It was mine for not knowing how to handle my own demons. And I hurt you. I said horrible things, things I didn't mean." I looked at him and saw sincerity, or at least what looked like sincerity. "And now? What do you want now?" He took a deep breath. "I want you to come live with me. I have a big house, 3 bedrooms. A nurse. You can bring Luna. We can be a family again." I felt something stir inside me. Family. After 8 years, after everything. But at the same time, Daniel was my brother, my blood, and he was dying. "Why now?" I asked again. He wiped his eyes. "Because Ariana called me. She told me you'd left, that you were senile, that Luna was in danger. And I believed her. But then I called Irene, and she told me the truth. She told me what Ariana did to you, and I saw myself in her. The same cruelty, the same selfishness. And I don't want to die being like her. I don't want to die knowing I was just as cruel to you." I swallowed, because his words sounded real. They sounded honest. "Arthur, give me a chance. Just one. Let me make it up to you. Let me take care of you." Luna came out of the kitchen, gave me a look. That said, "Grandpa, don't trust him so quickly." But Daniel seemed genuine. He seemed repentant. "I don't know, Daniel. I need to think about it." He nodded. "Okay, take your time. But please, think about it." He stood up, walked to the door, And then, just before leaving, he turned. "Oh, there's one more thing." Something in his tone changed. It became colder, more calculated. "What is it?" I asked. He hesitated, and then he dropped it. "I need you to forgive me officially before a notary, because there's a pending inheritance from Mom, a property out of state, and if you legally forgive me, we can split it." I froze. So did Leo. Luna clenched her fists. "What?" My voice came out low, dangerous. Daniel held up his hands. "It's not what you think. It's just a legal formality. We both need to agree to sell. And the lawyer says if there's a documented reconciliation, the process is faster." I stared at him. "Daniel, did you come for me or for the money?" He tensed. "I came for you. The money is just a pending issue." "No!" My voice was firm. "You came for the money. All of this, the cancer, the apologies, the big house, it was all so I would sign." Daniel turned pale. "No, Arthur. Get out. Arthur, please. Get out, Daniel. Get out now." He looked at me, searching for any sign that he could convince me. But he didn't find one, because I had learned. I had seen this play before, with Ariana, with Gail, with everyone who used me and then discarded me. "Arthur, I'm sorry." "You're not sorry. You're just sorry. You lost your chance." Daniel pressed his lips together, and without another word, he left. The door closed, and I stood there, feeling a strange mix. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't anger, it was relief. Because this time, I hadn't fallen for it. This time, I had seen the trap before stepping into it. Luna came to me. "Grandpa, you did the right thing." I nodded. "I know, my love, I know." I sat down. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from anger, but from something else too. Pride. Because for the first time in my life, I had said no to someone who wanted to use me. Eleanor always used to tell me, "Arthur, you're too good, and people know it and they use it," and I would answer, "They're my family, my love. What do you want me to do?" And she would look at me sadly. To value yourself. To know you don't have to give everything of yourself for them to love you. I closed my eyes. I've learned, Eleanor. It took me 79 years, but I've learned. Leo came over. "That man is never going to change." "I know, but you have." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "A week ago, you would have said yes. Not to disappoint, not to look bad, not to be alone. But now you said no, because you know you deserve more." I felt something warm in my chest, because he was right. I had changed. I was no longer the man who let himself be humiliated in silence. I was no longer the man who accepted scraps of affection. Now I was someone who knew his worth, someone who knew that being alone was better than being in bad company. And that simple certainty gave me strength. We sat down. Luna made more coffee, and as we were drinking, we heard something outside. A noise, engines, sirens. We looked at each other. Leo frowned. "What is that?" He went to the window, and then, in a tense voice, he said, "It's the police." My heart stopped. "What?" Luna ran to the window. "Grandpa, there are 3 patrol cars." I got up, went to the door, opened it, and there they were. 3 patrol cars with their lights flashing. 6 police officers got out. One of them, a man of about 40 with an impeccable uniform, walked toward me. "Arthur Sanchez Calder." I nodded, my throat dry. "That's me." He took out a notebook. "We have a report of a minor's abduction. Luna Sanchez Ferrer. Is she here?" I felt as if the floor had opened up beneath me. "Abduction." The officer nodded. "Your daughter, Ariana Sanchez Calder, filed a formal complaint. She alleges that you removed the minor from the home without her consent, that you are holding her against her will." Luna came out, her eyes full of tears. "That's a lie. I ran away. My grandpa didn't abduct me." The officer looked at her. "Miss, Are you Luna Sanchez? She nodded. Yes. Are you here? Of your own free will? Yes. My mom hit me, she humiliated me, and I decided to leave. The officer took a note, looked at his partner. We need to speak with you, Mr. Calder, and with the minor. You'll have to come to the station to give a statement. Leo came out. Officer, this man didn't abduct anyone. The girl arrived on her own. I'm a witness. The officer looked at him. And you are? Leo Serrano, owner of this house. The officer nodded. You'll have to give a statement as well. Luna grabbed my arm. Grandpa, don't let them take me back to her. I hugged her. I won't let them, my love. But just then, I saw a car pull up behind the patrol cars. It was Ariana. She got out of the car, disheveled, with red eyes, wearing wrinkled clothes. She walked toward us, and when she saw me, she screamed, "There he is! That's the man who stole my daughter." The officer held up a hand. "Ma'am, calm down." But Ariana didn't calm down. She kept screaming, "He's senile. He's dangerous. Give me back my daughter." Luna hid behind me, trembling. The officer looked at me. "Mr. Calder, you're going to have to come with us." I nodded. "All right, but Luna comes with me. I'm not leaving her with her." Ariana stepped forward. "Luna is my daughter, not yours." The officer stepped between us. "Ma'am, everyone will go to the station. It will be sorted out there." Ariana looked at me with hatred, pure hatred. And in that moment, I understood. My daughter hadn't just kicked me out, hadn't just lied about me. Now she was accusing me of a crime to regain control, to win, to make me come crawling back. But this time, it wasn't going to work, because this time I had witnesses. I had Luna, I had Leo, and I had the truth. And the truth, for the first time in my life, was on my side. They put us in the patrol cars. Me in one, Luna in another, Ariana in a third. Leo asked to ride with me. The officer agreed. During the ride, no one spoke. I looked out the window, watched the city pass by, and thought, how did we get to this? How can a family destroy itself so completely? We arrived at the police station. It was an old building with peeling walls and a smell of damp. They led us inside. I was taken to one room, Luna to another, Ariana to another. A detective came in, a man of about 50 with a tired face and a loose tie. "Mr. Calder, tell me what happened." I took a deep breath and told him everything, from the dinner, from the sentence, from my departure, from Luna's arrival. The detective took notes without judging, without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Do you have witnesses?" "Yes, Leo, Sarah, the former housekeeper, Paul, the bus driver, Beatrice, the baker." He nodded. "We'll call them. In the meantime, stay here." He left. I was alone in that cold room with a metal table and 2 chairs. The walls were grey. There was a small window with bars, and for the first time I felt like a criminal, like someone who had done something wrong, but I had done nothing. I had only protected my granddaughter. I had only told the truth, and for that I was being treated like a delinquent. 2 hours passed, or maybe more, I don't know. I lost track of time until the detective returned with a file. He sat across from me. "Mr. Calder, I spoke with the minor, with your friend Leo, and I called Sarah Giron." He opened the file. "They all say the same thing, that you didn't abduct anyone, that the minor ran away of her own free will, that there is evidence of emotional abuse by the mother." I felt relief. "So, can I go?" He held up a hand. "Not so fast. I also spoke with your daughter. She says you're senile, that you have memory problems, that you're a danger to the minor." I clenched. My fists. "That's a lie." The detective looked at me intently. "I know, because I also checked your medical history. With your permission, I called your previous doctor, Dr. Ramirez. He says you are perfectly lucid, that there are no signs of dementia or cognitive decline. In fact, he told me your daughter cancelled several of your appointments without justification." I breathed a sigh of relief again. "So, So, Mr. Calder, there is no case for abduction. But there is a minor who doesn't want to return to her mother, and that is a problem. I swallowed. What's going to happen to Luna? The detective closed the file. A judge will decide that. We will summon you both to a hearing. In the meantime, Luna can stay with you, but under the supervision of social services. Social services? He nodded. A social worker will visit the home where Luna is staying, evaluate the conditions, and write a report. The judge will read it and decide. I nodded. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. The detective stood up. You can go, but don't leave the city and keep Luna safe. I got up, left the room, and there was Luna sitting on a bench with Leo beside her. When she saw me, she ran to me, hugged me. Grandpa, what did they say? That you can stay with me for now. She cried with relief. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you. I hugged her tight and looked down the hall. Ariana was there, watching me, her eyes full of tears, but not of sadness, of rage, of defeat. We left the station. It was night. The air was cold. Leo called a taxi. We returned to New Hope in silence. When we arrived, Leo made tea. Luna sat on the sofa. I sat beside her, and then, for the first time in hours, I breathed. Grandpa, do you think the judge will let me stay with you? Luna asked. I looked at her. I don't know, my love, but I'm going to fight. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you do. She nodded. I'm going to fight too. Leo sat with us. You two will be fine. I'll make sure of it. And in that moment, in that humble house with those loyal people, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Family. The next day, I woke up early. I had things to do, things I couldn't put off. I went to the bank. With the help of Beatrice, who came with me, I managed to transfer my pension to a new account in my name. Ariana would no longer have access. The bank clerk looked at me with compassion. Mr. Calder, your daughter tried to block this transfer. I looked at him. When? Yesterday. She called, saying you weren't of sound mind. But we need a court order to block an account, and she doesn't have one. I nodded. Thank you. I left the bank, feeling stronger, more in control of my own life. For the first time in years, I was in control of my money. I was in control of my decisions. That afternoon, a nurse from the community health center came to visit us. Leo had called her. Mr. Calder, I heard what happened. I nodded. Yes, it was complicated. She sat down. You need a lawyer, someone to represent you at the hearing. I know one. His name is Stephen Lorca. He's good and doesn't charge much. I thanked her. She gave me the number. I called that same afternoon. Stephen came the next day. He was a man of about 60 with thick glasses and an old briefcase, but he spoke with confidence, with knowledge. Mr. Calder, your case is strong. You have witnesses, you have evidence, and you have a minor who clearly doesn't want to go back to her mother. We can win this. I felt hope, real hope. The following days were intense. Stephen took depositions. Sarah testified. Paul testified. Beatrice testified. Even Nathan, the ex-military neighbor, testified. They all said the same thing. Ariana had kicked me out, had humiliated me, and Luna had run away. Of her own free will. Meanwhile, Luna and I settled into Leo's house. She slept in the back room. I slept on the sofa. Leo insisted on giving me his bed, but I wouldn't accept. You're sick. You need to rest. He would smile. And so do you. But you're more stubborn than I am. We would laugh, and in the midst of the chaos, we found peace. Small moments of peace that kept us going. Luna started helping Beatrice at the bakery for a few hours in the morning. Beatrice paid her a little and Luna saved it. For when I have to go to college, she would say. I watched her with pride because my granddaughter was strong, she was resilient, she was everything her mother was not. I, for my part, started volunteering to teach classes at the community center. History for senior citizens. Amado, the blind neighbor Leo introduced me to, was my first student. Mr. Calder, I want to learn. Even if I can't see, I can listen. And he would listen intently, with a hunger for knowledge. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. I was still useful. I still mattered. I could still give something to the world. Martirio, the cranky neighbor, came by one day with containers of food for you and the girl. Don't waste them. Luna thanked her. Thank you, Mrs. Martirio. The woman nodded, and before she left, she looked at me. You've been reborn, Mr. Calder. It shows. And she left. Fulgencio came another day. Mr. Calder, we're playing dominoes on Saturday. Are you coming? I nodded. I'll be there. And I went and I played and I lost, but it didn't matter because I was alive, because I was surrounded by people who cared about me, because for the first time in years I wasn't a burden. I was Mr. Calder, the professor, the friend, the grandfather, and that simple affirmation of my existence gave me back the will to live, the will to fight, the will to win. 3 weeks passed, 3 weeks of preparation, of nerves, of fear. The hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Stephen, my lawyer, came the night before. Mr. Calder, tomorrow is going to be tough. Ariana has a lawyer too, and they're going to attack you. They'll say you're old, that you can't take care of a teenager, that Luna needs her mother. I looked at him, and what are we going to say? He smiled. The truth. That Luna is better off with you, that she has stability, that she has love, and that her mother abused her. I nodded, but the fear was still there, because the truth doesn't always win. Sometimes the system protects those who don't deserve it. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that could go wrong. What if the judge didn't believe me? What if she decided Luna had to go back with Ariana? What if they took my granddaughter away from me? Luna didn't sleep either. I heard her get up several times, go to the bathroom, come back. At 6 in the morning, I got up, went to the kitchen. She was already there, sitting at the table, her hands clutching an empty mug. Couldn't sleep, I asked. She shook her head. I'm scared, Grandpa. I sat beside her, took her hand. Me too. But we're going to be okay. Whatever happens, we're going to be okay. We arrived at the courthouse at 9. Stephen was waiting for us at the entrance. Ready? I nodded. Luna, too. We went inside. It was a cold building with long hallways and the smell of old paper. We sat in a waiting room, and then I saw her, Ariana. She was sitting on the other side with her lawyer, a young man in an expensive suit with an arrogant face. Ariana looked at me and I looked back. She looked different. Thinner, with deep dark circles, her hair dull. But her eyes still had that hardness, that coldness, that inability to accept she was wrong. Luna squeezed my hand. Don't look at her, Grandpa. I'm not afraid to look at her, my love. They called our names. We entered the courtroom. The judge was a woman of about 55, with glasses and a serious expression. Good morning, I am Judge Amparo Villar. We are here to resolve the matter of temporary custody for the minor, Luna Sanchez Ferrer. Mrs. Sanchez, you have the floor. Ariana's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my client is a responsible, hard-working mother who has cared for her daughter for 16 years. Mr. Calder, with all due respect, is a 79-year-old man. He has neither the resources nor the energy to care for a teenager. Furthermore, he removed the minor from the home without the mother's consent. This constitutes abduction. Stephen stood up. Objection, Your Honor. There was no abduction. The minor ran away of her own free will. We have statements that prove it. Furthermore, there is evidence of emotional and physical abuse by the mother. Ariana's lawyer smiled. Abuse? Mrs. Sanchez has never struck her daughter. There was a normal argument between a mother and her teenage daughter, nothing more. Luna tensed beside me. Stephen looked at the judge. Your Honor, the minor has a bruise on her arm, documented by social services, and there are witnesses who confirm the emotional abuse. The judge made a note. Let's continue. Mr. Calder, would you like to say something? I stood up, my legs trembling. Yes, Your Honor. I did not steal my granddaughter. She came to me because she had nowhere else to go, because her mother hit her, because her mother kicked me out of the house for no reason. I just want to take care of her, give her a home, give her love. I know I'm old. I know I'm not perfect, but I love her and she loves me, and that has to count for something. I sat down. The judge looked at me. Mr. Calder, do you have a stable place to live? Yes, with my friend Leo. And do you have an income? Yes, my pension. And I work at the neighborhood bakery. The judge made a note. And you, Luna, what do you want? Luna stood up, tears in her eyes. I want to stay with my grandpa. My mum doesn't love me. She only has me because she's ashamed of people knowing I left. Ariana's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, the minor is being manipulated. It's obvious the grandfather has put ideas in her head. Luna looked at him with rage. No one manipulated me. My mum hit me. My mum kicked my grandpa out. I saw it all. The judge raised her hand. Order. Luna, sit down. Luna sat trembling. I put a hand on her shoulder. The judge looked at her papers. I have the report from social services here. It says the minor is in good condition at Mr. Calder's residence, that she has emotional stability, attends school, and shows no signs of being in danger. Ariana's lawyer tensed. But, Your Honor, that's temporary. A man of his age cannot... A man of his age, the judge interrupted, has taken better care of this child than her own mother has in recent weeks. That is what the report says. I felt a ray of hope. The judge called Beatrice. She entered nervously. She sat down. Mrs. Veronice, you know Mr. Calder, correct? Yes, Your Honor, for 40 years. So how would you describe him? Beatrice looked at me, her eyes filling with tears. Mr. Calder is... He's one of those people you don't find anymore. Honest, hard-working, generous. When my husband died, he was the only one who came to the wake and brought food, so I wouldn't have to cook. And when I opened the bakery, he lent me money. No interest, no paperwork, just trust. The judge made a note. And with Luna? How is he with Luna? He's a real grandfather, not one of those who gives money and leaves. He listens to her, respects her, treats her like a person. And Luna adores him. You can see it. Beatrice wiped her eyes. If anyone deserves to care for that child, it's him. Then the judge continued, however, the law is clear. Custody belongs to the parents, unless there is compelling evidence of severe abuse. And here, while there is emotional abuse, there is not enough to permanently remove custody. I felt my heart being ripped out. But, Your Honor, she held up a hand. Let me finish. I am ordering a psychological evaluation of both, the mother and the grandfather, and an evaluation of the minor. This will take 2 months. In the meantime, temporary custody remains with Mr. Calder. I breathed a sigh of relief, but only a little, because 2 months wasn't forever. 2 months was just a reprieve. Ariana's lawyer protested, Your Honor, this is unfair. My client has a right to see her daughter. The judge nodded. And she will. I am ordering supervised visits. Once a week in a neutral location. Social services will coordinate. Ariana stood up. No! I want my daughter back. The judge looked at her sternly. Mrs. Sanchez, your daughter does not want to return with you, and I have to consider her opinion. Sit down. Ariana sat down, her face red, her hands clenched, and I knew this wasn't over. This was just beginning. We left the courthouse. Luna hugged me. Grandpa, we won. We didn't win, my love. We just bought more time. Stephen nodded. Mr. Calder is right. This will continue. Ariana won't give up. But we have an advantage. The truth is on our side. That afternoon when we returned home, Leo was waiting with coffee. How did it go? Good. more or less. I told him everything. He nodded. 2 months is enough time to prepare, to gather more evidence, to show that Luna is better off here. And so that night while Luna slept, I stayed awake, thinking, planning, because I knew the next hearing would be the final one. And I couldn't lose it. I was not going to lose Luna, not after everything we had been through. During the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Ariana started coming to the supervised visits, but not to see Luna, to attack me. "Dad, this is ridiculous. Give me back my daughter. It's not my decision, Ariana. It's the judge's decision. You manipulated her. You put ideas in her head. No, you hurt her, and she decided to leave. The visits were tense, painful. Luna barely spoke to her mother, and Ariana, instead of trying to reconnect, only accused, only attacked. And with each visit, the social worker took notes, and I knew those notes would help me because they showed who Ariana really was, and who I was. And in the end, when the final hearing came, the truth would speak louder than the lies. 2 months later, we returned to the courthouse, this time with more evidence, more witnesses, more hope. Judge Amparo Villar entered. We all stood. She sat, opened a file. "I have reviewed the psychological evaluations, the minor's evaluation, and the reports from the supervised visits." She looked at Ariana. "Mrs. Sanchez, the evaluation shows that you have high levels of stress, anxiety, and difficulty managing your emotions. It also shows a lack of empathy toward your daughter." Ariana's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client has been under a great deal of pressure. That doesn't mean she can't care for her daughter." The judge looked at him. "Sit down, Mr. Calder. Your evaluation shows that you are in full mental capacity, that there are no signs of dementia, that you have emotional stability, and that you have a strong bond with your granddaughter." I felt relief, but the judge continued. "However, there is a concern. Your age and your health. The medical report states that you have high blood pressure, that you need constant medication, and that statistically at your age, health complications are common." I felt a lump in my throat. "Your Honor, I take care of myself. I take my medication and I have support. Leo, my friend, Beatrice, Sarah, they all help me." The judge nodded. "I know. But the law requires me to consider the long-term well-being of the minor." Ariana's lawyer smiled, as if he knew he had already won. "Your Honor, it's clear. The minor must return to her mother. It's natural, it's right." Stephen stood up. "Your Honor, with all due respect, what is natural is not always what is right. What is right is what protects the minor. And the minor is at risk with her mother." The judge raised her hand. "You both have valid points. But there is something you have not considered." She looked at all of us. "Luna's opinion." She turned to my granddaughter. "Luna, you are 16 years old. You are old enough for your opinion to carry legal weight. What do you want?" Luna stood up, her legs trembling, but her voice was firm. "I want to stay with my grandpa. I know he's old. I know he might get sick, but he takes care of me. He listens to me. He respects me. My mom only sees me as a burden, as something she has to put up with. I don't want to live like that. I'd rather be with someone who truly loves me, even if it's for a short time, than with someone who has me only out of obligation." Her words echoed in the courtroom. The judge made a note. Ariana stood up. "Luna, that's not true. I love you." Luna looked at her with tears in her eyes. "No, Mom, you don't, and I don't need you anymore." Ariana turned pale. She sat down as if she had been struck. The judge closed the file. "I have made a decision, but first, I want to say something." She looked at all of us. "This case has made me reflect on what it means to be a family, on what it means to care, and on what it means to love." She paused. "Mrs. Sanchez has a legal right to her daughter. That is indisputable. But a legal right does not always align with emotional well-being. I felt my heart pounding. I have decided to grant legal custody to Mr. Arthur Sanchez Calder with supervision from social services every 3 months. Mrs. Sanchez will have visitation rights, but only if the minor agrees. I felt as if the world had stopped. Had I heard correctly? Luna grabbed my arm. "Grandpa, we won!" The judge continued. "However, given Mr. Calder's age, I am ordering that a subsidiary guardian be appointed, someone who can take charge of Luna in the event that Mr. Calder is no longer able. Is there anyone?" Stephen stood up. "Your Honor, Sarah Giron, Mr. Calder's former housekeeper, has expressed her willingness to be the subsidiary guardian." The judge nodded. "Perfect. Have her contacted for the legal paperwork." She banged the gavel. Session closed, and in that moment, everything exploded. Luna cried. I cried. Stephen smiled. And Ariana. Ariana stood up and walked out without a word, without looking back. We left the courthouse. The sun was shining, the air was fresh, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Victory. Not a victory over Ariana, but a victory over fear, over loneliness, over the feeling that I was worthless. Luna hugged me. "Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for fighting for me." I hugged her tightly. "I will always fight for you, my love, always." Stephen congratulated us. "Mr. Calder, you made history. Not many grandfathers win cases like this." I smiled. I didn't win. The truth won, and we went home, to New Hope, to that old neighborhood where I had been reborn. 6 months later, life settled down. Luna transferred schools. Now she went to one near New Hope. She made friends, laughed more, slept better. Leo was still fighting his cancer. Some days were better, others worse, but he always smiled. "Arthur, if I die tomorrow, I'll die happy, because I have you here, and that's more than I ever expected." I smiled too, because I knew it was true. Fulgencio kept inviting us to play dominoes. "Mr. Calder, you've won 3 times already. You must be cheating." I laughed. "I'm not cheating. I'm just good." Beatrice kept giving me work at the bakery. "Mr. Calder, I need help with inventory tomorrow." "I'll be there, Beatrice." Martirio kept bringing containers of food, for you, for the girl, and for Leo. "Don't waste them." Amado, the blind neighbor, kept coming to my history classes. "Mr. Calder, tell me about the Mexican Revolution." And I would tell it with passion, with life, because teaching made me feel useful. It made me feel alive. Irene visited us every month, bringing food, remedies, affection. "Brother, I'm so happy to see you like this." And I was happy too, because for the first time in years I wasn't a burden. I was needed. I mattered. And that changed everything. One afternoon I was sitting on the porch. Luna brought coffee. "Grandpa, what are you thinking about?" I looked at her. "About your grandmother. About what she told me in her diary. Love isn't blood, it's a choice." Luna smiled. She was right. I nodded. "Yes, it took me 79 years to understand it, but now I understand." Leo came out with the newspaper, sat beside me. "What are you two talking about love, family, choices?" He smiled. "Good conversations." Beatrice passed by on the street. "Mr. Calder." "Tomorrow at 7. I raised my hand. "I'll be there." And in that moment, looking at Luna, at Leo, at Beatrice, at this neighborhood that had welcomed me with open arms, I understood something. I had won. Not against Ariana, but against abandonment, against loneliness, against the idea that growing old meant disappearing. And if you, who are listening to my story, have ever felt disposable, if you've ever been told you were a burden, if you've ever been rejected by those who claim to love you, I want you to know something. You are not alone. I went through it too, and I survived. Not because I was strong, but because I found people who chose me, people who saw me, people who loved me without asking me to apologize for existing. And you can find those people too, that chosen family, that place where you matter. Don't give up. Don't be silent. Don't let yourself be erased, because you are worthy, even if no one tells you, even if no one shows you, you are worthy. Have you ever been rejected by those who claim to love you? Tell me below. You're not alone. If this story touched your heart, leave me a like and subscribe. Every day I share stories that could be yours. Thank you for making it this far, really. See you in the next story. M.